Well, you remember we told you that we have Dr. Mustafa Yusuf Ali, who's the founder and chairman of Horn Institute, and we want him to give us insights around the trip that the president made to the United States of America. There's been a lot of talk, some even around the plane that was hired to carry the president. So we just want to get his thoughts on whether we are missing something and what it means for the global south. But we're going to do that when we come back. Is that correct? All right. I'm told that we can proceed. Thank you, Dr. for finding time to just come and talk to us about there's so much going on around the trip. The president just returned from the U.S., and we also the list that he paraded as some of the goodies that he's come back with. But, you know, there are others who felt they were not very sure. So are we missing something from President Ruto's trip to the United States, Dr.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be back here. I was here 27 years ago on that seat as a news anchor.
As a news anchor? Oh, yes. My God.
Now, I'm happy, and thank you for the invitation to come and shed light on some of the substantive issues about the state visit by His Excellency Dr. William Ruto in the United States of America. And what I've been observing in the last week or so is that the Kenyan media, unfortunately, is missing the point. We're focusing so much on the sideshows and what would appear to be or is trivial issues of how the president traveled to the U.S. and how he's coming back, and we're missing the bigger picture. And the bigger picture here is, you know, this is the first state visit by an African head of state in the last 16 years. And the reason as to why President William Ruto was invited on a state visit, not on a working tour like he would normally when he's going for the United Nations General Assembly in September, or this was very special. And so focusing on how a president traveled to the US rather than the substantive issues really misses the point. Whether he went on a wheelbarrow and blazoned in UDA colors or a private jet, that is besides the point. The point is this state visit, whose theme was partnerships for prosperity. Yeah. What does it entail for Kenya? And not just Kenya also, what does it entail for the global south? Yeah. The world today is experiencing what I would call a dizzying pace of realignments, the geopolitical shifts that we are seeing today. Today, the international institutions and multilateral processes are deeply distrusted. Yeah. The global south is coming up. Europe is waning in its power. China, the East, is coming up. We are moving towards a multipolar world, and therefore multipolarity is now what is going to define international relations in the world for the next decades. What does this portend for Kenya? And this is perhaps what we as scholars, the media, should be discussing. What does it mean for Kenya? And this is why we at the Horn International Institute for Strategic Studies, we are saying, let us focus. There's something perhaps big coming. Perhaps a Ruto doctrine is in formation here. He has signaled this with the state visit in the United States of America. Now he's back, we should be now discussing perhaps the making of a Ruto doctrine. Doctrines don't just happen, it takes time. It takes time. And it's guided by scholarship, is guided by practice, is guided by very sharp minds and discussions that informs the practice of the government. Of the government.
So tell me, how does the President Ruto's doctrine aim to redefine Kenya's geopolitical position, especially on the global stage, actually both at home and also on the global front? Yeah, so
at the moment there's nothing like Ruto's doctrine. doctrines take time to emerge. Doctrines are a set of ethical ideals, principles that govern an international or rather international system relations. It's more global or regional in outlook, but it takes time. And we talk about doctrines. For example, we talk about the doctrine of containment by the U.S. I think this was by Kennan, who was a U.S. foreign policy advisor. We talk about Franklin Roosevelt's doctrine of liberal democratic internationalism post Second World War, or we talk about Woodrow Wilson's doctrine of, or rather that birthed the League of Nations. So doctrines come during such times when there's a lot of confusion in the international system, bilateral, multilateral processes in total confusion. And this is the right time. Perhaps we have a president here that is very intelligent and is looking at the world and has been talking about inclusive prosperity. And that seems to be falling into place after talking about, or getting rid of or diminishing the class relations that we have in this country through the hustler. I don't like particularly that word hustler politics, but it's about class, different classes, inclusivity in a country. And he seems to be taking this now to the global stage where he's talking about inclusive prosperity for the global south and for the global north, that both can actually prosper together, rather than the zero-sum game of politics that we keep on seeing being put down on us by the West.
Okay, let's just take a short break there so that we pay our bills. And when we come back, I'll be asking you, should the Congress approve the non-NATO ally status? What are some of the risks that we should be expecting? So all that thought when we come back after the short break.
For 60 years, the African Development Bank Group has played an integral part in Africa's socio-economic transformation. From the 27th to the 31st of May 2024, the African Development Bank Group will host its 2024 annual meetings at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi, Kenya. This year's theme will be Africa's Transformation, the African Development Bank Group and Reform of the Global Financial Architecture. The high-level meetings will be hosted by the President of Kenya, His Excellency Honorable Dr. William Ruto, and the President of the African Development Bank Group, Akinwumi Adesina, and will convene African leaders, development partners, private sector actors, civil society organizations, youth, among other stakeholders. This event will be live on KBC Channel 1.
Asanteni sana kwa kuwezesha Loto Moto kuwafikia wengi wasiojiweza kupitia *570#. Hapo umewafuta wengi machozi, umewaelimisha, umewapa makao, umewapa lishe na umewapa matibabu kwa namna tofauti.
Asanteni.
Asanteni.
Asanteni sana.
Na kwako wewe mchezaji wa Loto Moto, unajipa fursa ya kujishindia Probox nayo. Na kama Probox haikufai na umejishindia, tunakupa taslim 750,000 Kenyan shillings na mshindi na mtangaza 30th of June. Na mwezi wa July 28th na mtangaza mshindi wa Demio nayo. Na kama utaki na umeshinda, wacha gari, chukua chapa 750,000 Kenyan shillings kwenye *570#. Wewe si mshindi tu, wewe ni tegemeo kubwa. Tusaidie na tushinde!
Welcome back. We were reflecting on the President's trip to the United States. And with me in studio is Dr. Mustafa Yusuf Ali. He was laying the foundation for the point on what it means for the global south. So you can build on that and also tell us, should the Congress approve? There was the question of the non-NATO ally status. Should the Congress approve that? What are the risks and what are the challenges that the country may face?
Yeah. So the designation of a major non-NATO ally that Kenya is going to get after Congress approves that designation, it's largely a symbolic designation. Mm-hmm. There are some benefits to that, but there are also a lot of challenges that will come to that. Mm-hmm. Let me just start with a few of the benefits and then I go to the challenges. A few of the benefits include that Kenya can access R&D, that's research and development, into the security weapons of the United States of America. Yeah. But that's not for free. Kenya will have to pay for that.
Comes at a cost.
It comes at a cost. Kenya can access loans to develop its own military security industrial complex. Again, that comes at a cost. It's not free. Kenyans can be trained, particularly from the KDF, can be trained in the United States of America. I think some of these would be in form of scholarships. So this is where there's some tangible benefits that come with an MNNA designation.
Beyond security?
There's very little actually beyond security. It's not a developmental issue. It's purely military security. And US, this is where US, and this is the thing that US wants, and we need to be very careful about this, because US can then station its military infrastructure, weapon stockpiles on Kenyan territory for its own use, not Kenya's use, for its own use in case of a major confrontation with another power.
Would that be one of the reasons why the US is tightening this bond?
So I don't know. This is a question that perhaps you should ask those who went to the United States of America and look at the security issues. I don't know about that, but this is, I suppose, and I'm assuming that this is one of the key reasons, because already there are some discussions and perhaps MOUs signed about US expanding the Manda airstrip and all that. So this is to the benefit of the United States of America. But there will be some benefits to Kenya as well in terms of security, because although it's not a mutual defense pact, where if Kenya is attacked, then the US will automatically come in and defend Kenya. Now, it doesn't work like that. Some of these resources can be used by our security agencies to deter or to defend the country.
Okay, you spoke about the benefits of the non-NATO ally status. Are there any risks?
Oh yeah, there are risks. You see, when you are given that designation, you also need to understand that the risks that the US faces are also transferred to Kenya. US has many enemies.
Namely? The question of enemies,
yes. Yeah, the terrorist groups that are, all over the world. And now we can see that the East, particularly Russia and China, Russia definitely because of the war in Ukraine, and we see how China is repositioning itself in this multipolar world. So some of the challenges that Kenya is going to, some of these enemies or enmity that US is going to have, naturally is being transferred to Kenya. But Kenya can rework around that. It depends on how shrewd and sharp our diplomats, negotiators are. Because what then Kenya can do is to get the best of both worlds, the West and the East. And so this is just one of the risks that is involved here. And that designation, it doesn't come for free. It's up to Kenya to make use of that designation to its own benefit.
I hear you. So finally, as we wind up, this new found, alignment, in a manner of speech with the US, when you look at the sub-Saharan belt, how does it affect the balance of power? We have Uganda, we have Tanzania, we have Burundi, Rwanda, Congo.
Yeah, Kenya is a stable dynamic, progressive country. It is an anchor state in the region, and it is for this reason that the United States of America has chosen Kenya. The other countries are coming up and very fast, and perhaps what this does is that it makes Kenya to leap forward even faster, stronger with this newfound relationship that it is building with the United States of America. So it's a very positive thing for Kenya, and in the long run is going to catapult Kenya because it's the only sub-Saharan country in Africa that is now getting that designation of an MNNA, and it is positive for Kenya.
I thank you so much for finding time to come and talk to us. Dr. Mustafa Yusuf, Founder Chair, Horn Institute. Well, we're taking a short break. When we come back, Bernard Okoch Okumu will be getting sporty. Stay with us.